Hey everyone, Darrin Collins here. I want to talk to you a little bit. We've been getting some questions, right, from around the country asking us about different things. And I thought this particular question was a really good question. So I just want to get on here today and share with you a little bit. So here's the question. Can you tell us a time when you were the most out of your comfort zone in your journey towards success? And how did that shape you as a leader? So I think for me, I would have to answer that. If you guys know me, you know I'm a real estate guy. I'd have to answer that as somewhere around the crash of '08 in the real estate world. It really rocked us, right? I had everything that I knew wrapped up in real estate. I was leveraged as far as I could possibly be leveraged on, several homes all across the state of North Carolina. And then all of a sudden, one day, everything that was left and it stopped, right? The banks stopped lending money. Everything changed. It felt like overnight. And at the end of, I guess, what would have been a 2-year journey, from probably for us, it was like mid 2007 to about, it's probably mid 2009 where we kind of rebooted, if you will. But, and maybe it was, it's a little foggy looking back on it, but maybe it wasn't that long. But that really rocked my world. Everything that I had thought I was building towards just left. All of the systems and the structure and the way that I did things overnight went away. So you got to think about this, like the way I made money for my family, the way I fed my babies, left in what felt like a 24-hour period. I remember calling my bank friend who we had done a lot of business with back in those days, and I said, look, I've got this deal and I need you to refinance it for us. And he was like, man, D, the market changed and I don't think I can get that done for you anymore. And I was like, what do you mean, man? We've done hundreds of these, right? And he was like, man, I just don't think I can get that done for you anymore. The market has changed. And everything that we did last week, we have to reevaluate. So all of this going on, this was about a 2-year period. Long story made short, we lost everything we had, right? No money, no income, no money saved. Now I had bad credit, and we had to build back again. We had to start over, right? So it really shook my world. I had to dig deep inside of my bones to figure out what do you do from here, and what do you become from here? And then the second half of the question is, how does it shape you as a leader? I look back now, it's 2023, if you're watching this, and that was the best time of my life. In the middle of it, I thought it was the worst thing I could be in, right? I was just like, I'm losing everything I had. And before that, I'd never been 30 days late on one single bill in my life. I'd never been 30 days late in my life, me or my wife, right? So then I get to this point and I can't pay my bills. I can't buy food. I remember days going to the grocery store wondering if this card is actually going to go through. And I guess that's been 15 years ago. And there are remnants still in my soul that I remember still. Sometimes I'll go to the grocery store today and I'll remember when we were worried about if a card would go through. And it just totally wrecked me. We lost everything I had, everything we built. All of our cash was gone. All of our credit was gone. Everything that we thought we were leaning on had left us. And I remember this just like it was yesterday. I was depressed for 2 days. And my father, my natural father, was still alive at the time. We lived in Charlotte and they lived in Fayetteville, so we're about 3 hours apart. But I remember being just down, right? Just being wrecked for 2 solid days. And I remember the 3rd day I heard my dad in the back of my head say, son, get up and do it again. And that day I got up and I created a plan and I made the decision that I would be 10 times better than I ever been before. I would do at least 10 times more than we'd ever done before. And that this would be a stepping stone and not a stumbling block for me. That day I started making plans, and we started on a journey to build back. And how did that frame my leadership? I have a deep-seated courage now that after coming through that, you got to know how that was. Like, I have bankers calling me. I have credit card companies calling me. We were $350,000 in credit card debt. I had no money left. I had about $23 or $500 left to our names, which was credit card borrowed money. And I started to build back our business of buying and selling houses. And I took out of that I think it was $2,400 in the bank. I took $1,000 of that and bought signs that say "We Buy Houses." And I started nailing them to poles and trees at nighttime where nobody's awake. And that's how we rebuilt. But I had credit card companies calling me. I had banker friends calling me and calling me personal names, right? Attacking my character, attacking my quote unquote ministry, if you will, attacking everything that I was supposed to be, this preacher, this godly man, all of these things, just throwing darts over the phone. I remember one time one of my banker quote unquote friends called me and he assaulted my character, and it sent me over the edge. It pissed me off horribly bad, sent me over the edge, and I'm 3 hours away from where he was, and it pissed me off. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, it was around lunchtime, it was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, I'll tell you what to do. I'll get in my car and I'll be at your place in 3 hours and we'll talk about this man to man in the back parking lot. He said, are you threatening me? I said, nope, but I am making you a promise. If I get there and you're there, we're going to have a problem. So anyway, I lost my cool a little bit there. That's probably not something Jesus would have done, but it is something that Darrin did. I'm just not that saved yet. But man, it really framed me, all of the loss and all of the pain, the embarrassment, right, of going to the grocery store and having no idea if this thing's going to go through or not. Having to tell my wife that, right, and her having to be embarrassed, losing all the foreclosure notices coming out of every place and every corner from every bank. I got credit card companies calling me because I can't make the payments anymore. All these things. It really framed me for what I am now and what I was going to become. Would you trade it, Darrin? Would you trade that? You know, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I would do things different if I went back today, but I wouldn't trade that because it framed me to become this guy, to actually desire to be this kind of successful. It really framed me. And it made me make a decision on what I wanted to be and how I was going to be that and what we had to do. And I took about 48% of our last dollars. Now, you got to know where I was. I've got a wife. I got no income whatsoever. Nowhere to live. Our house is getting foreclosed on, so we got nowhere to live, right? Wife and 2 babies. And no income, no money. And I took about 47% of the money we had left. And I bought signs that say "We Buy Houses." And we started over. And that framing of that made me believe in me, right? And there's a lot of stuff after that happened because the residue of brokenness stays with you, right? It's not something well, hey, now we have, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12 months later, now we got a little bit of money. It's not a big deal anymore. No. The residue stays. When you have passion for who you are as a person and as a performer and as a business entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, when you lose that, the residue of brokenness stays with you. And it's something you have to walk out of, something you have to get healed from. And I had to get healed from that, right? There's a whole other story with that. There's a whole other journey with that, where it took me almost 5 or 7 years to get my quote unquote mojo back, to be able to sit right here and talk to you in this camera. It took me about 7 years. And there's a whole group of people that helped me to find my rhythm of life again and find my mojo, even after we started making money again. Because when you get broken like that, you either find your true self or you get lost in the fragments of the pieces that you have. Luckily, thank God, I was blessed to have a great friend by my side that said, well, you know, man, you could do this. Just go do it. Just go do it and let it work its way out. And it did. And I'm so grateful for that moment. That was a horrible, horrible time in my life. My wife may have a different story about how it was for her. I know it was excruciatingly painful for her to go to any store, really, and just, I don't know if this is going to go through. I don't know if this is going to go through. And there were many, many times where we had to put the stuff back, whether it was Target orders or groceries or whatever. We just had to put it back because the card didn't go through and we didn't have any way to pay. But those are the moments that I think God uses those to reframe you. And it's in the brokenness that you have to ask yourself the question, what do I really want to be? When you take away all the facades of what money can buy and take away the friends that you thought you have, then you start asking your soul questions about, what do I want to be? What do I want to become? If I had my way, what would I do and what would I become? And it's in the brokenness of that I started to work my way through the fragments of life. Broken soul, broken spirit, broken heart, really, right? There's a lot of details, a lot more of details that I didn't share that were in the story. But it's in those times, this is my personal opinion, it's in those times that you find yourself. There's a story about David in the Bible where the king got pissed off at David and wants to kill him. And David has to run into a cave. And it was in the cave of what is called Adullam that he began to find himself. He began to find the king in him, and God sent people to him to gather around him. And I think it's in the brokenness of, I thought I was going to be this, and the shattering of all of that, to be able to transition your way out and ask yourself different types of questions and real questions, to be able to navigate your way through the fragments of your own soul, your own desires and your own willpower and all these things, that you begin to emerge as something you didn't know what you could be. And that is the time for me that I really feel like I started to find my leadership capacity, that God used that to reframe not only my outlook on life, but he reframed my soul into what a real leader was, what a real life leader was meant to be, how they are and who they are and who I was supposed to be. And it was that brokenness that really gave me that essence. And thank God for my natural dad, because he had always pushed us our whole life. And it was in the brokenness that I heard his voice saying, son, get up and do it again. You can do this. Get up and do it again. That's, to me, the most uncomfortable place I've been in my journey. I probably have a lot more, but it's the first one that comes to my mind. And it really was the framework. There's a lot more details of the story with everything else that we were doing in life that got us to this point. But those were the moments. So look, wherever you are right now, I want you to hear this. Wherever you are right now, whatever transitional phase you're going through, be okay with the brokenness. Be okay with the feeling of being disenfranchised. Because those are the times, for me personally, when I look back, those were the times where I started to really find myself. It was in the brokenness I gave myself permission to ask myself real questions about what I want, regardless of what anyone else says, regardless of the applause or the boos, right? What do you want? Who do you want to become? So if I could go back and tell myself anything, I would tell myself in 2008, Darrin, just embrace this. Don't fight against it. Don't kick against it. Just embrace it and let it be what it is, right? Hindsight is always 20/20. You see clearly looking backwards, right? But that's what I would tell. So if you're there or anywhere close to that now, just embrace the transition. Just hold it. Just stay in it. Stay in the curve. Stay in the turn, and let it break you. Let it disenfranchise you. Let it make you feel schizophrenia, if you please. Stay in that. If you'll trust the process, on the backside, you'll become what you didn't know you could become. Man, I'm sorry I took so long, but I'm glad you stopped by. Click the button. Love to see you on more of these conversations. Join us at Life Leaders. We'll see you soon.